So at any rate, I started getting my little part-time clients in, and they were lovely. And around March of the next year, Bob was coming back into Remax to work on some training with some broker owners and regional directors. We were bringing them all into Denver. And I was like, oh my gosh, Bob Proctor's coming back. So I called Gina and I said, hey, Gina, is there any, and I'm dying to tell you, when I met Bob, is there any way that I could possibly, see him or meet with him or even have lunch with him when he's out here with Remax? And she said, well, I don't know, but I'll get back with you. And, oddly enough, he said yes. So first lesson is anytime that you feel that you want to ask somebody out for lunch or for coffee or for a quick meeting, a mentor of yours, a person that you want to meet, ask. As my neighbor says, you don't GET unless you ASK. So he met me for lunch and I took him over to this little Italian restaurant next to Remax headquarters. And they had this amazing bread appetizer with this amazing gorgonzola dip. And so I ordered it and I was like, Bob, I think you're going to like this. And so he was in heaven. He absolutely loved it. So initially he was just sort of spooning it on politely on his bread, and then he asked the waiter to bring him another bowl of it. And he just started dunking his bread. He was just in heaven. He was like, this is better than anything I've ever experienced in my life. So we were having a really fun conversation. And of course, he asked me how I was doing with getting my new company rolling. And I said, well, I started some part-time stuff and I've got these clients and everything's great. And I'm trying to change the subject really fast. And he says, when are you going to take it full time? I thought you said you were going to go full time. And I was like, well. And so I always found that when Bob would ask me these pointed questions, the writer who can always say everything and have long sentences with periods at the end was incapable of even finishing a sentence in front of Bob. So I said, yeah, I just, and he said, Diane, he said, let me ask you this. What is the one thing that you're the most afraid of to start this full-time company? What is the one thing that you're the most afraid of? So when he asked me that question, I said, well, I just bought a house and it's it's a huge mortgage. It was for me at the time. Now I look at it and I think, oh my gosh, I should have stayed in that house. But at any rate, I love where I am now, but it was huge for me at the time. I was working 2 jobs to make that mortgage payment. And so I said, I just bought this house. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my house. Like if my company doesn't get rolling right away and if things don't happen, or if something falls apart in my company, I could lose my house. I mean, I could be homeless. I actually told him that. I said, I could be homeless. And he looked at me for a minute. He puts his gorgonzola bread down and he says, Diane, let me ask you a question. He said, is there anyone in your immediate family who's ever been homeless, who's actually been living on the street, living in a park, living in their car? And I said, no. And he said, how about your extended family, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, anybody in your extended family? Have they ever been homeless? And I said, no. And he said, okay, let's look at your peers in your community, your friends, the people that you work with. So have they ever been, they may have lost the home, they may have had some financial crisis. He said, do you know of anyone who's been homeless, like on their own, by themselves, on the street, living under a bridge? And I said, not that I know of. And he said, okay, then why is it that you've built this network of support in your life all around you? You've built this network all your life. And you have this support network around you. Why is it that you would think that even if you did lose your home, even if you did have a financial crisis, that those people wouldn't be there for you to hold you, to listen to you, to make sure that you didn't hit bottom? You have a support community in place for you. You already have that in place. These are wonderful people, and they may not understand everything that you're doing. They may think that what you're doing is a really strange thing. They may think it's really totally risky. But bottom line is, would they desert you completely and leave you to live on the street, under a bridge, in a box? Would they ever do that to you? And I said, I don't think so. And he said, of course they wouldn't. He said, this is why you have this community. This is why you have all of these wonderful people in your life. And he said, and beyond that, you have God. You have angels, you have spirit guides. And he said, you have all these entities around you who are only here to support you, who are only here to take care of you. And he said, and you've got me. He said, if you ever had to call me, if you ever had to ask me for help, if you were ever in a crisis, I would be there for you. So, he looks back down at his bread and his gorgonzola and he scoops up some more and he said, I think you need to move forward on this full-time job. He said, I think you need to move forward on it, this full-time company. He said, the support net is already beneath you.